The Galactic Council had a single word for humanity in their official records: unstable. Commander Zixthor of the Vrelian Diplomatic Corps had reviewed the human dossier 17 times before his assignment to the trade station orbiting Kepler 442b. Each reading left him more disturbed than the last. Humans threw themselves out of perfectly functional aircraft for recreation. They ingested toxic alkaloids called caffeine to maintain consciousness during their insufficient sleep cycles. Most baffling of all, they kept predatory animals in their homes as companions and called them pets. Madness, Zixthor clicked to his second officer, Talvera, as they approached the station's commercial district. Pure, inexplicable madness. The assignment was routine. Observe human traders in neutral territory, assess their stability for potential business partnerships. The Vrelian Empire needed the rare metals humanity had discovered in the Orion Spur, but the Council demanded assurance that humans wouldn't suddenly combust with irrational violence. The Tavern humans called the Drifting Star occupied a dingy corner of the station's lower deck. Zixthor's translator implant buzzed with confusion as they entered. The establishment's music pounded at frequencies that should have induced seizures in most species. Yet the humans inside seemed unbothered, some even moving rhythmically to the cacophony. 3 humans sat at the bar. One was a cargo hauler named Jackson, identified by the insignia on his jacket. The others were miners based on their dust-covered coveralls. All 3 held glasses containing what Zixthor's scanner identified as ethanol, mixed with various organic compounds. "They're poisoning themselves," Talvera whispered, her antenna quivering with disbelief. "Note that in the report," Zixthor replied. "Voluntary intoxication before the solar cycle's end." The Vrelian officers took a table in the corner, their gray-scaled skin and segmented eyes drawing curious glances. For 20 minutes, they observed nothing remarkable. Humans laughed, consumed their poison, and engaged in what the translator called small talk. Then a Krindax mercenary entered. The Krindax were known across 12 systems as brutal fighters, 8 feet of muscle, chitin armor, and 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws. This particular specimen wore the marks of the Red Talon clan, notorious for starting conflicts in neutral zones to test their combat prowess. The creature surveyed the room with black compound eyes before approaching the human named Jackson. "This seat is mine," it growled in trade standard, despite 3 empty stools nearby. Jackson looked up slowly, his expression neutral. "There's plenty of room, friend. No need for trouble." "I don't share space with Deathworlders," the Krindax spat. The term was an insult, a reference to Earth's classification as a Class 12 death world, where everything from the weather to the microbial life tried to kill its inhabitants. Zixthor's hand moved toward his communicator. He should alert station security. The Krindax outweighed the human by at least 200 pounds and possessed natural weapons that could shred plasteel. Jackson set down his glass. "Look, I don't want problems. Just trying to enjoy my drink." The Krindax's response was a backhanded strike aimed at the human's head. What happened next would feature in Zixthor's nightmares for years. Jackson didn't retreat or cower. He moved, not away from the danger, but directly into it. His body dropped beneath the Krindax's swing while simultaneously grabbing a glass from the bar. The human's arm was a blur as he smashed the container against the mercenary's knee joint, right where chitin met flesh. The Krindax howled. Its lower arms reached for the human, but Jackson had already rolled away, using the mercenary's own bulk against it. He grabbed a metal chair in one smooth motion and swung it like a weapon, striking the creature's midsection with enough force to dent the furniture. "Back down!" Jackson shouted, his voice carrying a predatory edge that made Zixthor's scales ripple with instinctive fear. The Krindax was stunned but not defeated. It charged, all 4 arms extended. This was when the other humans joined. The 2 miners moved with terrifying coordination. One slid a table into the Krindax's path, tripping it, while the other leaped onto its back. They didn't hesitate. They didn't debate. They simply acted with the collective precision of a pack predator, which Zixthor realized with growing horror was exactly what they were. Humans had evolved as endurance hunters on their death world. They had climbed to the top of their food chain not through strength or armor, but through relentless persistence and tactical cooperation. And they had never lost those instincts. The fight lasted 90 seconds. The Krindax, designed by evolution to be a perfect warrior, lay groaning on the floor. The three humans stood above it, breathing heavily but largely unharmed. Jackson's knuckles were bleeding. Apparently, humans considered damaged hands an acceptable trade for victory. "Someone call medbay," Jackson said calmly, wiping blood from his lip. "And get this idiot off my station." As security arrived, the humans returned to their drinks as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. One even laughed and clapped Jackson on the shoulder, causing him to wince. Talvera stared at Zixthor. "Commander," they smiled during the fight. She was right. Zixthor had seen it too. In the midst of combat with a species that had conquered 3 systems through military might, the humans had displayed what their species called grins, expressions, that showed teeth, a primal threat display hardwired into their biology. But more than that, they had displayed something the Galactic Council had fundamentally misunderstood about humanity. The dossier had been wrong. Humans weren't unstable or insane. They were controlled chaos. Humans jumped from aircraft because they had calculated the risks and decided the experience was worth it. They drank poison because they understood their biology could process it. They kept predators as pets because they had domesticated their entire world, bending nature itself to their will. And when threatened, they didn't panic or flee. They assessed, adapted, and acted with the cold precision of a species that had survived an entire planet trying to kill them for millions of years. Zixthor updated his report that evening with shaking hands. "Recommend immediate approval of trade partnership. Humans are not unstable. They are survivors who have weaponized their adaptability. More importantly, we want them as allies, not enemies." He attached video footage of the Tavern fight. The Galactic Council approved the partnership within an hour. Back at the Drifting Star, Jackson ordered another drink and rubbed his bruised ribs. Another human approached, a traitor he'd never met. "Nice work with the bug," the stranger said. Jackson shrugged. "Just another day?" The stranger grinned. "Yeah, just another day." Both men laughed, raised their glasses, and returned to the most human activity of all, surviving, adapting, and refusing to back down, one drink at a time.